Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm Extreme Home Makeover Farm Edition, Part 2. In Part 1, we cleared all the perennial beds and overgrowth from out in here. This has all been seeded with grass now. And in front of the house, and coming around to the side here, remember there was sumac and brambles and all kinds of things growing up, and we cleaned out these window wells and mulched the beds, trimmed these trees, these big walnuts, and then at the end of the video I came around to this side and said, well, there's going to be a part 2. This is the north side of the house, and the original house ends at the 2-story portion there, and then the original house is circa 1870, and the addition I put on around 2006, 2008. And right after we finished the addition, I built this long pergola here. There's pavers in here. I'll bring you in and show you. This is a lilac bush and some hosta and, again, the usual brambles. Pavers here that have grown in with grass in the joints. This portion has an areaway that goes down to the basement. And through here is a paver path. Pergola's along here, comes back into the house here. This is wisteria. Wisteria all along the pergola. This used to be a flower bed down here, but obviously it's all grown up with weeds. There are dogwood bushes back there that I unsuccessfully cut back a few years ago. They haven't really come in back the way they should. They got too tall up into the pergola, so I trimmed them down. And then if you turn around here, this is the back porch of our house, and we have dogwood trees in here, low bushes, boxwoods. Yep, it's all overgrown. Let's get started. Weeding with the excavator was really successful last time, so that's what I'm doing. This is fabric that was laid down when we installed it. Look at these roots from the wisteria. This stuff is pernicious. It grows like crazy. Big stone. over the place. Run along the ground, pop up in different places. They're really a pain. I decided. It's next morning. We separated out, there was fabric under this whole bed, and we separated that out from the spoils we took out. Piled the spoils over in the stockpile area, let the weeds rot down, make some really good soil eventually. We put the rocks over those big flagstones, put them over by the chicken house. We may use them for something later. Who knows? We may put a few of them back in here. I don't know yet. I wanted to spend a minute talking about this thing. I think this is called a telephone pedestal. It's a junction box for the old landlines. I think there's 200 pairs that run right through our yard and down to the corner on the road and go back. I forget, I think they come around this way. When my grandfather was alive and the phone company laid these lines, for some reason he allowed them to go across our yard instead down at the road. An old map showed that there was some drainage structure down at the road, which I don't think is there. Anyway, they wanted to come this way. We've been through this yard so many times with various projects, I know exactly where it runs as far as going across my yard. And I remember when we were building the barn, or the garage here, we had to run drainage line from the floor drains out to the ditch, and the contractor who was doing the digging hit it. It was not as deep as we thought it was, even though UFPO had marked it for us. And so we called the phone company, and they came right out, and they looked at it. He just kind of hooked it with the bucket and pulled on it a little bit. He hadn't broken it, and the sheath wasn't damaged. And the phone company laid 2 discs. They looked like they were rings about this big, and they laid one on each side of the section that he had pulled on. They said, no problem, looks all right, but we put those in there so we can find it later on in case there is a problem. And they left, and there was no charge. Those rings must have been magnetic or something so that they could locate them with a detector. I don't know, but anyway, it sits here even though I suspect that many of the landlines aren't even used anymore. I'll go high, you go low.
How about that?
The next step is to cut down these wisteria bushes, vines, pernicious whatevers. Oh, these work good now. I did a little cutting with the chainsaw up toward the top here and loosened some of these. Just pick away at it. Still got those. Look at the size of that. We planted these about 15 years ago, and they grow. I'm not worried about killing it, that's for sure. When I built this trellis, I put these cross arms and runners in here to guide the vines up. They grow so fast. I don't think they need any of this, but now the vines have wound themselves into it. Guess I'll take some of these off. Oh, come on, you. This vine wove right into this birch tree here. Oh. Guess we're just going to have to let it decay in there. One way or the other. Now for this monster, it's the biggest one. These got cut down to the trunk in the spring. That's how fast they grow. Lots of cuts. We're almost there, at least with the cutting part. It's ready to cut. There were suckers and runners running all wound in here. But look at the size of this. Look at how it's growing around the cross arms. Pretty cool. We trimmed these bushes last year in a video, but they need a little touch-up, haircut. And Hillary's doing some weeding. The only time we use these steps is when we have to bring a washer, dryer, or water heater into the basement. This is the easiest way. There's a frog. Watch out, Cody. Hillary and I have everything cleaned off, ready for mulch from the sidewalk line over to the house. We still got to put some topsoil in here, and we're going to seed that. I got to do something about the walk, which I'll tell you about in a second. And the wisteria is gone. Typically, we trim the wisteria back hard twice a year, and it still gets away from us. Like I said, we had trimmed it back to just the vertical trunk this spring before it started growing, and well, you saw how it was. We've had this whole thing covered in the past with it. It's great when it blooms. It doesn't bloom every year. It didn't bloom this spring, but well, it was cut back. But I'm on the fence about wisteria. It sure is a lot of work. Anyway, cutting it down to the ground isn't going to kill it. It's just going to kind of give us a clean slate to start with, and hopefully I can keep up with pruning it as it comes up. And my feeling is probably it's gonna just bush, just like send, you know, runners out in every direction, and so we're gonna have to retrain it up the posts. Here's what the concrete pavers look like. And the weeds always grow up in the cracks. I have a couple ways that I've dealt with these. I can put weed killer on them, and I've done that in the past, and just kind of keep them down. The moss is tough that grows in, and the best way I've found to really give them a nice appearance is with the pressure washer. But it takes some time. I'm going to do it that way now. The other thing I found, if you go to the home store, they sell a kind of sand that you sweep in to the joints that's supposed to keep the weeds down. I suppose it just has an herbicide somehow embedded in the sand. I have no idea how long that lasts. We have resanded this before after pressure washing it, but it doesn't do anything to keep the weeds down. I guess it's just one of the pavers look nice, but every substance has its issues, I guess. It is slow work. Let's try this turbo nozzle. That works a lot better. Day 3. This will be a shorter day today because Hillary and I got to run to town and get some supplies for this project. Cleaning the pavers really changed their appearance. Cleaning concrete pavers with high pressure water is certainly not on any manufacturer's list of approved cleaning methods. That high pressure water will change the texture on top of the pavers, make it rougher. And of course that rougher finish allows more freeze thaw to affect it as water can get into the pavers surface a little bit more, and they may last 40 years instead of 75. I don't know. I try to do things in the most expedient way possible sometimes, and it's just the way it goes. One thing I've noticed also is that these pavers had more color variation from paver to paver when we first put them in, and what happens is they finish the paver at the factory. The finer aggregate that has the pigment in it rises to the top more. It's like troweling a concrete slab, and so when you blast away at that surface layer, less color variety is there because more of the pigment is gone. It is what it is. You do have to resand the joints, and we'll be doing that, and probably putting a sealer on it too, which we've never done to these pavers. We have to wait at least a day for the pavers to dry out, put sealer on. In the meantime, we can get at this bed here, which we haven't touched yet. Where am I going to put my coffee?
What do you think this is over here?
I planted that.
Did you?
I don't remember what it is. It's a low ground cover, shady plant.
We should leave that.
Well, it's not supposed to be there, but I don't know. Probably want to mulch over it. No, wow. There is a buckthorn or hawthorn, I forget which is which, mixed in with this lilac that I always have to cut out. Buckthorn, hawthorn, one's invasive, one's not. I can't remember which is which. This is lilac.
Yeah.
This is buckthorn, hawthorn, whatever. That's it. After the junk bush was taken out, there isn't much of that lilac left, but hopefully it'll come back. Beds are mulched. Now for paver sand. Hillary's the expert on this.
It's been a long time.
So just
I think just kind of doing a line, and then you can kind of shove it there.
My memory is you only used like 3 bags last time. I don't remember for sure. Mixed up in this bucket here, I have 3 quarts of water, a half cup of TSP, which is phosphate free, which confuses me because TSP stands for trisodium phosphate, powerful cleaner, but For environmental reasons, they took the phosphate out, and now it's sodium sesquicarbonate. Anyway, maybe they should rename it, along with a quart of Clorox bleach to clean off this areaway. The factory primer is the orange stuff, and the green stuff is my last coat of paint from 15 years ago. The fact that the factory primer's on, the paint's off, tells me I should have roughed up the primer before I put the paint on and cleaned it down better. So I'm trying to do that now. I went over it with a wire brush before this to take any loose paint and rust off. This will clean the dirt off and kill anything that's growing on here.
Choose your weapon.
I choose shovel. This is the soil that came out of the front raised bed, the flower bed that I took out a couple videos ago. It's day 4, by the way. I forgot to tell you. It's been day 4 for a while. This morning I put down some test patches of sealer for these pavers. For a while I was skeptical after I put it down, but now that it's had a chance to dry, I think I like it. It darkens them up a bit, and you can see a little bit more of the color variation, and hopefully it'll keep the moss from growing on the edges so much because the surface is sealed. This is the stuff I used. It's Thompson's Water Seal multi-surface waterproofer. They've changed the formulation. Thompson's used to be this oil-based stuff that went on and would just suck right into wood. Now it's water-based, I guess. I don't know. It was a middle-of-the-road alternative for me. You can spend a lot of money on sealers, and I was undecided whether to use one in the first place, so this is cheaper. We'll see how it goes. It's pretty easy to apply with a pump sprayer, and one thing I read online about this stuff is make sure you don't put on too much, because then it dries white or doesn't dry at all. I continue right up onto the porch with the same sealer, did the railings and the deck, and this is the finishing touch. Why do you have to be so difficult? Day 5, grass seed.
Oh, I blame the cat for that when I went in because he was standing
No,
on it.
he's made a mess. Anyway.
He was like, I didn't do it.
Painting the Bilko doors is the last step. Time for the final reveal. Remember, this is what we started with. And here is what we've finished with. We'll go this way first. And back at the beginning. Sealing the pavers went well, and Mother Nature has already decided to start decorating them with leaves. It brought out a little bit of the color variation that was originally in the pavers, and I didn't have any problems with tackiness or streaking or anything like that. It darkened them up somewhat, and it really made the sand look nice in the joints, although I think that's probably a temporary thing. The cockerels, the young roosters, they've been having a crow fest. This project was a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. I thought it'd take a couple days and we'd be done like in the front. That was a 2-day job around the front and the other side. There were a lot of moving parts to this project, not only the digging out and the grading and the replacing and the seeding, but you know, the vines and we got wound up in doing a lot of work in the pavers. So it was 5 days straight for Hillary and I, and I'm ready for a vacation. I hope you enjoyed this series. We've gone all the way around the house now, and it looks great. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time.